Hey everybody. I had ran into somebody this week and they actually asked me a question around how can they get going, and they just said they really have struggled these last 6 to 8 weeks being home trying to get things going. They said they have all the time in the world, but they don't seem to get as much done as they would like, which I think is quite common. I think what most people, a lot of people are experiencing, because the routines have changed, and we're asked to do some things that maybe we hadn't before if you're homeschooling or you're doing some different things. But the whole routine has changed. But there are some things we can do to make the best use of our time. And I think this goes for people who are, at home, or they're self-employed, or whatever the situation is. We often run into these ideas and these challenges. So I have a few things that you can do to help deal with this. So one is to do a brain dump. So just like first start off, just list every single thing that comes to your mind that you want to get done. And just that's kind of chewing at you, gnawing at you, and you want to get it done. So get it all down on paper, or get it online, whatever the situation is. Just get that down so that it's out of your head. The next thing is to organize it by category. So categorize it in some kind of common area. So, if it's work related, or if it's home related, or if it's fitness, or whatever the situation is, have some sort of categorization of the things you want to accomplish, the tasks. The reason for this is that it just can't be just a long list of stuff. You want to be able to group those things into different groupings. The next one is to put some dates around when you want those to be done. Now, you need to be flexible. Sometimes, if we are under the gun with some tasks, we need to respond a little bit quicker, but we want to be flexible with the dates. Now, there are a lot of concepts around really keeping that tight and being overly ambitious with the dates. If you're struggling with getting things done, I think putting overly ambitious dates around your tasks are probably going to set you up to fail. So I would be reasonable. I know the word reasonable sometimes doesn't generate reasonability, but we want to be flexible with our dates. The purpose of prioritizing is, of course, to get the things done that have to get done first. If you have to get your taxes done and the date is coming, then that should be higher on the list. If something can wait a couple months, then that maybe is lower on the list. There's some things that maybe there are multiple tasks that lead into each other. So the prioritizing the tasks is really important, so that you can get things done in order, and it's just not one big list of random stuff that you're trying to sort through every day. So prioritize it, and put some dates, some flexible dates around those. The next one is to just try to get it done. Whatever you prioritize and whatever dates you put around things, try to get it done. I think a lot of people, they make these to-do lists and they really don't try. And I think, try to that first thing, put it on the list, get it on the list, and try to get it done. Don't move on to the next thing until that thing is done. Try that. That approach often works, but you want to make sure that you are, you're at least trying to get some of the work done. The next thing is, you could try to use the artist trick. And so the artist trick, writers, songwriters, artists have this challenge because they're really responsible to try to get their own work done. Often they don't have tight deadlines. Sometimes they have self-imposed deadlines, but often they're kind of at their own to drive out the work. What you want to do is sit there, and this is a trick that a lot of artists do. If let's say you were a writer, and you intended to write between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. If you have a hard time getting going, you are allowed to sit there, but you are not allowed to do anything else. So you can write, but you're not allowed to do anything else. So try that trick. A lot of times what happens is we get distracted with other things that are fun or more amusing or easier to do. And that's what kind of drives us away from getting, accomplishing the things we want. So try that little artist trick. Just sit there and say, for the next 2 hours or whatever period of time it is, I cannot do other things. If you're on your computer and you have work to do on the computer, shut other things down. Don't, have your email open or be lured away with other things. Keep it tight. Make sure that you're disciplined in that regard. And this is really comes down to parenting 101. Self-parenting. Don't allow yourself to do other things until those things are done. And put the timeline down. If I would say probably a day or two will go by. If you're really kind of undisciplined, a day or two might go by where you don't do anything, but for the most part, eventually you're going to do the work. So if you're having a hard time getting the work done anyways, here, just try that. The next thing is if you're confused, and I've been there where I'm walking around, I'm confused. I don't know what to do next. I don't know what has to get done. Just pick something. Pick something on the list. You pick the easiest thing if that's what it is. If you have open mail on the list, then open the mail. Just try to do something. Just pick something on the list and do it. It's really important that you get something done. I used to work with a guy and he would always say, get something to done and get something to complete. And it's really, really important that we try to get something done, especially if you're confused. And I have a very, once in a while where I'm just wandering around. I'm confused. I don't know what to do next. And I really have to just pick something and do it. You're better off to do something than to waste a day or waste an afternoon or whatever the situation is and do nothing. Or get sidetracked on a bunch of things. One last thing you can do, and I really recommend this, is to plan out your day the night before. So before you start your next day, the night before, sit down and write out the things that you're going to try to accomplish. Again, if you're having a hard time getting going, pick one or two things that you're going to do, time box it, put some times around it, say that's when I'm going to do it, and just work to that. One of the benefits of doing it the night before is that you are setting your subconscious mind in the state that you're actually, the subconscious is going to start thinking through it through the night, and you're more likely to get up in the morning and do it. And I would try to tackle it first thing in the morning. Don't try to, do too much later in the day. At least that's for me. I find if you try to get something done right out of the gate, you're probably more likely to have a productive day than if you try to kick off the day and say, okay, I'll start my day at noon, or I'll start my day at 10 a.m. I would try to get going as soon as you get up, depending on what time you do get up. But I would try to start as soon as you possibly can. So those are some things. I'll quickly go through them again. Just do a brain dump of all the things that you want to get done. Organize it by category. Prioritize the list. Put some dates around it. Be flexible. Just make an attempt. Try it. Right. Try to get something done. Try to pick something on the list and try to get it done. Use the artist trick, which is not allowing yourself to do something else until that work is done, or just that you give yourself a period of time, be it an hour or 2 hours, to do the work, and you're not allowed to do something else. You can sit there, but you're not allowed to do anything else while that time is on. If you're confused, you don't know what to do, pick something. And then lastly, of course, set up the next day, the night before, because you're more likely to be successful if you plan out the night before for the following day. You're already in that frame of mind to get that work done. So try those things out, and I hope you're just more successful and you get a lot more stuff accomplished. So give that a shot.